Hey everybody, at some point I figured out that I had a picture of Jesse Woodson James after he faked his death in 1882. That's what you see here. You can see that he's got the receding hairline, the same facial features lining up, the same ears, everything is pointing towards it being authentic. Not to mention, the census records show that the guy in the photo, this photo is from a picture of Colonel Jackson and family on the Giant J. And so you can tell that if Colonel Jackson's grandpa was in the picture, this is the only guy in the photo old enough to be his grandpa. And it does, and the census records say that his grandpa was a guy named J.W. James. And there you have it. Um, you can tell it's him. It's the same guy. So he's about 75 years old. In 1895, when the patent for the J was issued, which was also a military post, so you see in the photo there are a number of Army people in the photo, which includes Colonel Jackson and his father, um, either his father or another colonel. They were both colonels. His father was a colonel, George W. Jackson, as well as Merritt H. Day. I'm not really sure which guy is in the photo, but it's one or the other. And so, um, and then you got this guy, Colonel Jesse Woodson James, who was actually an Army colonel for the Confederate Army who took the Confederacy underground in 1865 and never surrendered, and ended up fighting for many decades until he covertly built the Federal Reserve, basically instructing his engineers to start digging vaults and tunnels all over the place, some which were under the city of Chicago. And so the KGC Underground literally became known as the Confederate Underground because Jesse literally went underground. And so they had to have, places to set up headquarters as well as put all the treasure. And so that's what all the tunnels and vaults were for. And so they dug 33 miles underneath the city of Chicago, connecting all the banks to the Federal Reserve located on Jackson and LaSalle, which went active in 1913. And so, yeah, it sounds like a movie. And most people have never heard this story before. They've just heard that Jesse Woodson James was an outlaw, that he, never heard that he was an Army colonel and that he was still fighting the war decades after everybody thought the war was over. So, it really shows that the KGC were committed to winning the war, which was based on financial control. And so Abe Lincoln wanted financial control. He even tried to print his own money. That didn't work out. And so they ended up taking the treasure, which included the Confederate treasure, the Templar treasure, plus everything else that Jesse added to it over many decades, and took all that treasure and put it into secret compartments and vaults and tunnels that were dug into mountains and various locations around the country, such as underneath Chicago, which the city had no idea that the KGC were even there because it was a complete covert military operation, and and that was after the city of Chicago was burnt to the ground in 1871, which they blamed on a cow. The only building that did not burn down was the water tower building and the pumping station. So, ironically, um, the KGC rebuilt the entire Gold Coast area and called it the Gold Coast. Everything from the streets to the buildings and everything that went up was financed heavily by the KGC. And then the underground tunnel system that went underneath the city also came as well. And, people didn't know that that was there until the tunnels were already done for the most part. And so there you have it. The real identity of Jesse Woodson James, the outlaw, has been rewritten. The history of Jesse Woodson James and his identity has been rewritten right here on Hunting Jesse James by yours truly, Ben Miller, author of Quest of the Giant J and direct descendant of Jesse Woodson James. Thanks for tuning in. Till the next segment. Talk to you later.